All the dancing you are seeing comes to us courtesy of Sophia Wolf from Miss Wolf's Driving School. You can get there and you can, you know, as I always say, if you've got 9 or 10 left feet and you'd like to get that down to a manageable number of, say, 3 or 4 left feet, you can go to www.jiving.com and Sophia can teach you the jive, the stroll, the whole 9 yards. So that's spectacular. This is the Chicago Vintage Show. We come to you from the city of Chicago, and we're talking to the people who make vintage things happen, who make old music, who do old tattoos and cars and all that sort of nonsense. We've got a young lady on the show here next. I'm excited to have her on the program because I've never had a chance to, you know, get up close and personal with her. She is fabulous. She's a singer, and she's here with us right now. Please say hello to Rosie Adolfo. Look at you. Look at that.
Hello.
Hello. Oh, aren't you fabulous?
Oh, thank you.
Oh, it's such a pleasure to have you. I'm just going to talk like I'm going to talk like James Mason through this entire segment. So everybody be prepared for that. Okay, I got to make sure I'm sitting so I'm not, you know, your makeup was done so beautifully, as was mine. I don't want to make a shadow on you. Okay, so first question first, if you don't mind, where were you born?
I was born in Cook County Hospital here in Chicago. Well, in Chicago.
Yay! So you are Chicago born and bred.
Born and bred. Runs through my blood.
Yay! Well, now, how the first time I saw you would have been at some show or some other, and you were probably decked out as beautifully as you are now. How did that all start? How did you go from, you know, I assume just being kind of a dopey blue jeans wearing teenager to going, hey, you know, I'd like to look like, I don't know, Dorothy Lamour, something like that. How does that happen to a young kid?
Well, I went to school with a couple of friends of ours, Rosibell and Kiko, a lot of...
Oh, those two.
Kiko. I went to high school with them and ran into them again in my mid-20s.
Really?
And they invited me to go to, well, actually the first show was in Brookfield.
I'm going to guess at the Sandbar?
The Sandbar.
The beautiful Sandbar where they put goat cheese on everything.
Everything. And there was this wonderful band playing. And I ran into Jez and Kiko, and they were amazing dancers, and they just looked classic and just on point. And I said, that's what I want to do.
For those of you who are not from the Chicago area and you don't know our friends Kiko and Jezebel, you can see them in all their dancing glory along with their young son in J.D. McPherson's video for the song Let the Good Times Roll. Take a look at that on your YouTube and know just how cool these two are. Have they been cool since high school? Because if they have been, I'm just going to have to go hang with them.
Those two have been cool since they were born.
Oh.
Yeah.
Man, I've been wasting time for the first 40 years of my life, so here we are. So now, somewhere along the way, you stumbled into music as well. How does that happen? Were you like in high school? Were you taking, I don't know, were you taking xylophone lessons or?
I feel like most of my life, music has had some part in my life. When growing up, my dad was in a band. My dad is a huge influence on me musically.
What kind of music was your father playing?
My dad used to be in a band. He used to play cumbias and salsa and the Caribbean music. He used to play at Casino Tropical on 26th Street,
hey, there
which
you
is
go.
no longer there anymore, but yeah. So I used to be his roadie a little bit too sometimes. as young as 5 years old. It was awesome. So he influenced me a lot, and in school I did like a lot of choir.
Did you?
Yeah.
Okay. But then somewhere along the way, you kind of got hooked up with them Guilty Aces for a period of time, didn't you?
I did. I was lucky enough to have a gig, and I needed a band, and they're amazing guys to work with.
And real generous as musicians. They if you need something done, they're there. They don't mess around.
Yes, yeah, very talented, amazing group of guys. Yes.
In my next life, I'm going to be able to sing as well as Daniel, their lead singer. That's
me too.
Oh, He's one of those guys that can just sing the phone book. I know. I'll explain later what a phone book actually is. But he could sing it, brother. He could sing it. So you worked with them for a period of time. Somewhere along the way, you started fomenting an idea for something bigger and slightly different, didn't you?
Yes, that is still in the works. I am in the process of forming 1940s, 1950s mambo band.
Really?
Yes.
I'm imagining that is no small task.
It is not a small task. It's been years in the works. Hasn't really completely formed yet because I left the country for a little bit.
That's right. You were footloose and fancy free in Europe for a brief period of time.
I was. Yes.
Where were you, and what did you get to see while you were there?
Well, I lived in France in a little town called Saint-Étienne.
Whoa, I lived in France. Whoa. Going back to the James Mason voice.
France.
Oh yeah, you may have heard of it. It's called France.
France. Well, when I was there, I got to go to a lot of places all over France, Paris, Marseille. We got to cross over to Monaco, Nice, and we did some other things too. We went over to Switzerland and England.
Wow.
It was very, very beautiful. Oh, Amsterdam, of course. Can't forget Amsterdam.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I'm glad you got to do that. But now you have relocated. You're no longer part of, you're not living in Chicago now.
Not living in Chicago, but I will always be a Chicago girl.
Now, while you were working with them Guilty Aces, there was a young man involved with that band. What I think they call him Eddie something or other.
Yeah. I think it's. He has his own tequila. He's got his own tequila brand. I can't think of it. Oh, Partida.
Eddie, set the camera down. Can you come up and say a few words? Say a few words to your adoring public, if you may, if you might. Eddie Partida, ladies and gentlemen. Eddie Partida is the executive producer and the mastermind. This is the guy who actually said, you know what, we need to do a show called the Chicago Vintage Show. How does that happen? How do you wake up in the middle of the night with that idea?
Let me clear one thing. I'm the creator, not the executive producer. The executive producers are the guys running the show with the cameras and the lights.
Okay.
Those are executive producers. I just thought about it.
Oh, okay.
You know, like everybody else, we get really high and then we have crazy ideas. I'm just one of the ones who actually follow through with them.
By that, he just means he had a lot of energy drinks and
really energetic.
And ran around the block and said, "Eureka, I've got it."
Yeah, so I mean, I was playing with the Guilty Aces for a while, and that got me really excited about music and wanting to promote shows. And I had the idea, why don't I promote the vintage rockabilly scene in Chicago? And the best way to do it is with a vintage show, with the mayor as the host, mayor of rockabilly.
Hey, that's me. Eddie, I have to say this on camera to you, and I've said this 1,000 times. I've had a very long show business career. By that meaning, you know, I've done this and I've done that, and I've always had a real day job. But my show business career, everything that I've ever done, radio, cable television, cable access, everything has led up to this moment, hosting this show. And I couldn't be more grateful to you asking me to do this, to be the face of this thing. I'm so happy.
I wouldn't have it any other way. Who am I going to have? That ugly guy over there? That one right over there?
Wait,
yeah, right there.
That ugly guy is my wife.
Oh,
no way. You know, I could have gone 9 different ways with that joke, and I went the really bad way. So I'm apologizing to everybody for that one. Eddie, it is a pleasure having you and having this show. And Rosie, it's a pleasure having you. Eddie Partida, Rosie Adolfo, them Guilty Aces will be playing some more music real soon. On the Chicago Vintage Show, we throw it back to Mr. Doug Friedman, the international man of mystery. Real good, real good.